It's Monday, the 20th of November, 2023. Welcome to the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael.
Sean, 5 stories, 5 minutes. Let's get cracking. Story number 1 is a big one. Israel, Hamas, and the United States are close to an agreement to free dozens of women and children held hostage in Gaza in exchange for a 5-day pause in fighting.
Media outlets are reporting the good news, saying the release could begin in days barring last-minute hitches. It would be the first sustained pause in fighting in the conflict since Hamas militants attacked Israel on October 7. Under the terms of any agreement, all parties to the conflict would freeze combat operations for at least 5 days, while an initial 50 or more of what are believed to be a total of 239 hostages are released in batches every 24 hours. Overhead surveillance would monitor movement on the ground to police the pause. Now, the pause will also allow an increase in the amount of humanitarian assistance, including fuel, to enter the enclave. Officially, Israel and US authorities are saying no deal has yet been done, though all three parties are working to get somewhere on it.
Sean, is it a surprise that Israel would accept a ceasefire?
Somewhat, but concern about the captives and the rising civilian casualties in Gaza has increased pressure on Benjamin Netanyahu's government. More than 100 countries, though not the US, have called for a full and immediate ceasefire. Netanyahu is battling for political survival himself and wants to bring hostages home, but doesn't really want to barter with Hamas. Over the weekend, thousands of hostage families and supporters ended a 5-day march from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. US President Joe Biden is against a ceasefire, a long-term ceasefire, though he does want to free 9 American hostages. Meanwhile, back home, the protest marches continue. 30,000 people at a pro-Palestine rally in Sydney yesterday, thousands in Melbourne, also rallies in Brisbane and Adelaide.
Story number 2, Sean, it was the second busiest auction weekend of the year, but I've got to say the results actually weren't too great. Preliminary clearance rates fell in Sydney and Melbourne.
More than 3,000 homes were scheduled to go under the hammer, and according to CoreLogic, the preliminary clearance rate was 68% across the country, down 1 percentage point from a week earlier. In Sydney, it was 69% from 1,100 auctions. In Melbourne, 68% from 1,400 auctions. Adelaide again topped the charts, 81% there. Brisbane came in at 58%, Canberra 64%. The latest interest rate rise, plus the cumulative effect of previous hikes, is starting to combat the surprising strength in the market. There's only 4 more selling weeks ahead of Christmas, and the housing market, after a much better year than expected, Michael, is kind of finishing with a whimper.
Sean, story number 3, are you an Akubra man? I kind of could picture you in an Akubra.
Never had one. Never will, to be honest, but anyway.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that's a bit of a downer then, isn't it? Andrew and Nicola Forrest have bought Akubra, the 147-year-old hat company, for an undisclosed amount.
The deal was announced in Kempsey, New South Wales yesterday, which is home of the Akubra. It marks the third fashion investment the Forests, through their private investment arm Tattering, have made since 2020, when they acquired R.M. Williams from El Caterin in a deal worth $190 million. Early this year, Tattering took a 25% stake in Camilla. Now, yesterday, Forrest said there's nothing more proudly Australian than an Akubra, and he thanked the Keir family, who he bought the brand off. The Keir family have owned Akubra since 1918, when the founder, Benjamin Dunkley, transferred ownership to his son-in-law, Stephen Keir. Stephen Keir is also the name of the outgoing chair. He's the great-great-great-grandson of the original Stephen Keir.
So they've got a bit of work to do to win you over, though, don't they, Sean?
They do, definitely.
That's a good challenge.
Are you an Akubra man?
No, I have a very large head. I don't know if they make them big enough.
Right. Okay. Off we go.
Story number 4. The boss of OpenAI, Sam Altman, was ousted over the weekend, surprising some very large investors and Microsoft, and already, Sean, efforts are being made to bring him back.
Things move fast in technology. OpenAI is the artificial intelligence company behind ChatGPT. OpenAI's board effectively sacked Altman, citing his alleged lack of candor in communications, and demoted its president and co-founder Greg Brockman, leading him to quit. Apparently, Microsoft, which invested $13 billion into OpenAI and is its primary financial backer, didn't know about it, nor did Thrive Capital, the second largest shareholder in the company. Amazing. Altman said he's considering returning, but wants a new board and governance structure. There's going to be lots on this story over the next few days, Michael.
There certainly will be. Story number 5, last one, Sean. SpaceX Their colossal Starship spacecraft exploded during its second major test flight over the weekend, but apparently that means it was a successful test.
Yes, as the Starship spacecraft was heading to near orbit, it appeared to burst apart. The theory is that the vehicle's flight termination system activated while the vehicle was attempting to reach near orbit. Now, the flight termination system is used to destroy a rocket if it starts to malfunction or deviates from its flight path during a launch. The success of the test comes from what SpaceX learnt, apparently. Expensive lesson. On X, SpaceX said that today's test will help us improve Starship's reliability as SpaceX seeks to make life multiplanetary. This test, of course, was better than the first test. That's when the rocket failed to properly separate from its super heavy booster. So maybe it was a success, Michael.
Maybe. There we go. The top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
It is Monday, the 20th of November, 2023. Remember to hit follow on the podcast. If 5 minutes isn't enough, you can find our longer daily show called Fear and Greed Business News, wherever you listen to podcasts. That comes with a bunch of interviews as well. Today's interview is a very good one if you are interested in investing. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.